Hello viewers and welcome to Wargame Red Dragon once again. I'm your host Choo once again. And well, as you can probably tell, today we're checking out an air deck, and I've begun the game in deployment mode simply to show you guys a few neat tricks that you can do with this particular setup. So starting off, I mean, one of the things that you can actually do nowadays is that you can actually deploy your aircraft just on top of these little forested areas, and your planes will already start in the air, giving you a little bit of a speed bonus. But anyhow, today we're taking a look at an infantry deck, just sort of meant for really gaining early game control. And well, the game has begun here. We're playing Red 4 on a 4v4 destruction once again. And I've taken a look at the Eurocore air deck, and I've changed it up a bit. I've spiced it up a bit, making a coalition, just a BLUEFOR general deck that features prominently some of the best infantry from all of the different countries, and coupled with a few of the air adjustments inside the new patch. I believe this is version, the early access version number 39. With these new adjustments, it leads to some pretty interesting combat. It leads to some pretty interesting changes, and what I plan on doing here is I plan on blitzing Gulf. So what we have here are some of those elite SAS anti-air, anti-ground infantry, some of those Fallschirmjäger specialist anti-ground infantry, and some other specialty units that are brought in here. So just sort of going from that, what you can do here is you can actually do an instantaneous deploy now using this neat little trick. If you press stop with your aircraft and immediately unload, you'll be able to actually deploy your troops without them touching the ground. So that is one neat thing that you can do, making it really rather handy in just getting your troops into these towns right away. So here, I mean, normally this would be a huge threat entering these towns without just sort of any cover. But as you can see here, even though we are taking a little bit of fire, I can drop off my Fallschirmjäger troops pretty much instantaneously. And it's fairly cheap, although it will allow us to just sort of contest the enemy's zones pretty much right off the bat. So the game has started, our troops are getting in here. I'm going to try to pull back these helicopters, and like I said, Fallschirmjäger SAS. So one group of SAS for anti-air, Fallschirmjägers to sweep out the enemy infantry, sweep out the enemy vehicles, and in the back here, again, doing this little paratrop trick. As soon as my game plays, I bring in some of these M67 Hans, which are Japanese units armed with these long-range recoilless rifles that have HE power, so they're able to effectively shell infantry from far away. Again, another power play unit that's very, very effective in their purpose. So as you can see here, we have just effectively grabbed control of this area at the expense of a few little airplanes and unfortunately one squad of SAS, but still very, very capable units. And once I move up the Han troops here, these Han recoilless rifles should actually be able to outrange those pioneers and their napalm rocket launchers, although inside the urban cities it's not going to matter too much, but it's going to be very, very useful and just clear them out like that. So we have control of this village now. So yeah, it's a very, very powerful deck. It's very potent in its abilities to just sort of press forward inside the early game and take these locations, seeing as how I've really been, you know, noticing that these early game locations are the core of these multiplayer battles now. So easy peasy, nice little land grab here, and that'll put us in the lead by a few points, though it'll cost, looks like we lost about 250 points worth. That's me and my ally here, and it looks like we managed to do a fair amount of damage. So again, very, very potent infantry combinations. One thing that I've noticed is that the Fallschirmjäger troops, while they are very, very effective, there is another form of them that does the exact same purpose, which is the South Korean UDT SEAL people. The only downside of these guys is that while they cost 5 points less, they have 2 less rocket rounds per salvo. Their little carbine rifles are a little bit better, but they lack on the MG portion, just on rate of fire. Personally, I mean, just I don't necessarily know if that rate of fire does tremendously much in terms of, you know, firepower, but it is a little bit, and it is something to consider. So there you go. Yeah, so now that we've effectively taken Gulf, with this deck, the unfortunate thing is that it lacks a lot of tanks and a lot of heavy armor. It's more or less focused on those infantrymen and their planes. So I'm gonna spread my guys out here a little bit. I'm gonna get some SAS guys again, just for an in-depth demonstration. This airdrop, seeing as how last time we had to do it in the battle. If your planes fly over forests or buildings, in this case, press stop or E and then unload immediately after, and your guys should be able to plop down instantaneously. Now, I'm not really sure if that is, you know, either a bug or a thing that they've introduced, but it's very, very handy right now. Some people don't know about it yet, so I guess I'm sharing a little trick, I suppose, right now. But it is very lethal in that you can just get these infantry off onto the ground immediately and garrison these buildings immediately too. So very, very potent, very, very powerful little move. And it looks like they're bringing in quite a lot of the heavy things over here inside this little village area, so that's fine with me. And what I think I'll do here is that I'll bring in a single little tow helicopter to harass them. So, I mean, this deck is mainly built out of, it's an air deck, meaning that you can't necessarily do too much with it in terms of unit choice. It has great infantry potential, but bear in mind that I don't necessarily have a ton of men. SAS guys, I think I only get about 12 units of these guys. The Han people, I think I'll get 12. 16 of these Fallschirmjäger guys, and I think 16 of these SEALs as well. They're fairly expensive to buy, although the actual infantry group is only worth about 25 points. The helicopter is worth about half of their points. So that is one thing to note. In terms of artillery, they have, or support, they have a ton of these very, very useful, very omni-purpose sort of defense group of troops. You have some Avengers, which are able to follow up with your paratroopers, bringing in very, very accurate stinger fire on helicopters. You have your Rolands for airplanes, your Tansams as a sort of a mixture of both, and they really do lack artillery, as in you can only bring in some of these K-136 with the French little car things, which aren't too effective, unfortunately. You also have a fairly small selection of tank with this deck, which is another downside, where it's mainly these airplane, rather these airborne, airdroppable little tanks. And the good thing about them is that they have the cheap Harpoon and the Sherdans, which do have those nice little HE missile, or those HE ATGM missiles. They do carry little cannons each too. That's another nice thing, and they're fairly cheap. But then again, you're really not lacking too much. You really don't have much tank power, unfortunately. Recon, you have your general gist. For vehicles, you have your general, you know, ATGM launchers, stuff and such like that. Helicopters, you can bring a lot, and what I've brought here is I brought a few dedicated tow vehicles, which are cheaper. They only have the tow missiles. They only have them in small quantities, but that's fine for our purposes at least. You have the American little Stinger airplane things too, so those are actually great for fending off packed aircraft as well. You have your Apaches and your Cobras and stuff like that, and they're really just a mixture of all purposes, although they start to get more expensive. So the main thing about this deck, I mean, it has great control ability, but it lacks in the area of going on the offensive, because when your enemy starts to bring in things that can take out aircraft and things that are generally good at countering infantry, you start to run into problems, unfortunately. So right now, with these accurate tow missiles, all I want to do is snipe off that little command vehicle just like that, and that'll hinder the enemy's little progress there. That nets us a nice little 100 points. But with this deck, I mean, it's really just based upon fast drop, fast extraction infantry, and the fast supply of those infantry. But like I said, again, this deck does have some problems with really just lasting inside the game. If you really don't have a big support group behind you, or perhaps if you're lacking some sort, if your opponent really does pressure you for say heavy artillery, or really heavily damaging bombers too. But overall, I mean, the battle is going on here. Once again, looks like my opponent has some territorials, some militiamen. They're just brawling it out inside this area. What I can do is that I can show you guys some of these artillery pieces. They're decently effective, though. I feel like they could be a little bit better. So we'll bring those guys to just sort of demonstrate and really see how they do. And in addition, for offense on this deck, you really do need to rely on the harassing techniques that we've been sort of using recently. So, you know, snipers, other recon units going forward, tow ATGM missiles of any sort, just generally long-ranged missiles to sort of pick off enemy units one by one on artillery to suppress large areas. Unfortunately, that is a big downside to this deck, is the fact that it has some problems in just sort of staying in the fight like that. So since the opponent isn't attacking us right now, and it'll take a little bit of time for those artillery vehicles to get here, I'm going to bring in some of these AH-1Js, which have rocket pods, and that is the main use for them. They're only 55 points for a attack helicopter, so I mean that's fairly cheap, although they don't necessarily have anything particularly useful apart from their rocket pods, which are definitely devastating against infantry and light vehicles, although they don't carry a lot of rockets, unfortunately. Speaking of which, they actually have two different types, which is kind of weird, I suppose. One is more accurate than the other. Apart from that, it doesn't look like they're actually very different from each other, so I don't really know what's up with those guys, but I can see them being fairly useful, so we'll bring them in and we'll try them out. Now, what else about this deck? In terms of aircraft, we have some of these very devastating ASNAC F-111Cs, and these are the 8-ton bombers, some French Mirage air superiority fighters. Again, more so, I'm banking on really just using fairly cheap, very high range, high accuracy air superiority fighters in pairs, and my plan for them is really to just fire off two of those long range super 530 missiles to just sort of peg off the particular target, and to really just go from there. I also have an American Raven. I'm not a big fan of American units, but this is the best SEED, that's suppression of air defense vehicle. I think at least it's the best one inside the game, mainly because of the fact that it has two of these very accurate SEED missiles, and it has a 60% ECM chance, making it fairly lethal. So here, what I want to do is that I want to get my Dorner to drop off a sniper team, and I want to check out this area right here, unless they snipe my little Dorner, on which we will just buy another one, because we can. Yeah, so I mean, fast deployment for these troops. It looks like I'm actually going to run out of these troops in a little bit, unfortunately, but hey, you know what? Oh well. We do need a second one of those things, so we will bring it in. I'll actually try to bank in here. I know that he has some troops in there in that little complex, so I want my AHs to clear them out. Rocket pods are really good at clearing out infantry inside buildings, but they're not that great for anything else. Unfortunately, they can't spot these infantrymen too well either, so I'm gonna have to get them in fairly close for the enemy infantry to show themselves. Come on. There we go. And once they're in range, they'll take a few hits, but it's no big problem, as long as they start to fire their rockets, hopefully. Uh-oh. Damn. Ah, well, that is my bad. What I think I'll do here is that I'll just get the artillery to barrage one of these two areas to really smoke them out. We do need to clear that area out too, so I think I'll actually just get both of the sniper teams deployed and to really just suppress those guys. Try to pick them off one by one. And here's what I'll do. Yeah, with these South Korean artillery pieces, they're fairly accurate. They have a decent range, but they have very low dispersion and decently high HE power. So what I want these guys to do is that I just want to bombard this little settlement right here, which may be just filled with enemy units, just judging by the fact that he has these APCs here. And yeah, again, the problem with this deck is that if they do have any sort of like a gun APC or something that just generally fires HE rounds from afar, it does stall you up by quite a bit. Yeah, currently there's a game bug where, from the looks of it, for whatever reason, when the artillery rounds land, they may take a little bit of time to actually get in gear and to actually do anything. So these rounds are going to go in. I hope they're going to take out some of the APCs, but it might just suppress the infantry and do some damage inside there. And once they are sort of done with their barrage, I'll send them back because they're fairly fast on roads. Decently fast at 150 kilometers per second. These guys we need to stop, drop. The guys get pooped out right away, and now we are able to see quite a lot more of them. So it looks like they're making a little infantry joust over here. What I think I'll do is that, inside these cities, because you can only have one group of, at the maximum 4 infantry inside one of these little building complexes. It looks like they're going to use this little road or this little strip of forest to get to me. I want the Fallschirmjägers with their close but accurate rocket launchers to stay here, and I want the Han with their long range but inaccurate rocket launchers to go from the far side, I suppose. Now, let's see what we can do to... yeah, I would say that we're actually holding this front really, really well. What do they have here? It looks like they have a few few of these little APC units here and there. Also deploying some, I want to say shock infantry over there. If you actually keep this unit viewfinder open, you're able to check just in general what type of enemy units there are, if you know what their view models look like. It's a neat little trick that you can do, though. I mean, it does take up quite a little bit of screen real estate here. And that should be the end of these guys. Yeah, these were shock infantry. They were worth a good 25 points each from the looks of it. Oh, we didn't actually kill them off. It looks like they ran back. Alright, that's fair enough. And what are they dropping here? They're going to drop napalm bombs on us. That is fine. I can get my infantry out of those napalm affected zones fairly easily. And we can get them back. Just like that. And there we go. Looks like we finally got that unit. So yeah, napalm's not really that big of a threat so long as you can get your guys to move outside of the buildings fast enough. Sometimes, unfortunately, you'd lose a few, but generally speaking, you have a fairly decent chance of getting these guys out, provided that they're not stunned. Yeah, if it's not combined with, say, like the artillery napalm stuff, your chances are decent. Oh no, they burned up all of our SAS guys though, so that's really not too great. We get them out. I think I'll buy a few Rolands and stuff like that back here, just so that we can have some defense like that. And the nice thing about this deck is that if you have these wounded infantrymen, you can resupply them really nicely, provided that you do have that area control again, by bringing in a little supply chopper. So they're quite handy like that. I'm gonna get these Dorner troops to drop out here, unload. There we go. And I'm gonna try to recon this these buildings, I suppose these ruins now, and check out what there is over there. I don't know, that little machine guns on that BTR is gonna harass us, but that's fine. Yeah, one thing that we can do is that we can try to space out our troops a little bit more so that those napalm bombs don't hit too badly. Over here, what I want to do is that I have these long-range recoilless rifle rounds, right? And what I want to do is that hopefully my sniper will be able to figure out whether or not there's any more troops inside this little blurb of village. And in the event that there's not, then good for us. We should actually be able to move into that area. And if there is, then, well, then we can just sort of clear that area out, I suppose. I think I'll drop in here some of those seals, and we'll see if we can clear them out. Yeah, it doesn't look like there's anybody here, so that's a free little house, I suppose, for us, and we'll just nab that up. So that'll be good. And what's happening here? It looks like they're using recon infantry to actually sneak behind the enemy lines and take all of that stuff out, so that's good. These FOBs here are actually worth quite a bit of points, although they have a ton of health. If you can actually take these out, they're worth quite a little bit. Not really sure if this will work, just because rocket artillery, I'm not sure of how much damage it actually does. But if we're actually able to hit that, we might be able to take that out. I mean, it's 15 points, but it's still 15 really, really juicy target points, which is one thing. And I think what I'll do here is that I want to want to get one of these helicopters or something to just figure out whether or not there are infantry inside that little village blurb right here. Yeah, a problem with this deck is that, I mean, all of your things are expensive, and because all of your things are expensive, you do run into some problems with you know, I have no units to necessarily probe the enemy with, which is a bummer.